What is up, everybody? Welcome to Otto's Grotto, all things geek and unique, featuring three men in a basement. I am Otto. This is my grotto, and down here in the grotto, we host a show called Three Men in a Basement. Three Men in a Basement consists of myself, my co-host, Mr. Roger Levesque, and my executive producer, Bernie1869. You can follow us all on Instagram under those usernames. I am also very fortunate to be a guest co-host on Lords of the Long Box, which airs every Wednesday night at 9 p.m. Eastern Time, with TiVo and Darkside Jedi manning the helms, and I'm there just to add some comic book insight, give my own opinions and stuff like that. So, Three Men in a Basement is an organically grown YouTube channel. We've been doing this for about a year now. We started on Instagram, we moved to YouTube. Everything you see here is done out of my basement. It's all done on comic book knowledge, weekly stuff, hunts out in the wild and stuff like that. It's a lot of fun. I've been collecting comics on and off now for over 35 years. So I've got a lot of experiences, a lot of goods, a few bads, good purchases, bad purchases, and stuff like that. But what we're trying to do is keep the YouTube channel up and going. We only have about 201 subscribers, but that's not bad for a year, and I'll take it. We get a lot of comments, a lot of stuff. So, guys, if you're watching the show, and if I make a mistake, please comment. Give me a thumbs down if you don't think it's the right thing. Give me a thumbs up if you like it. Please give me some shares, give me some comments. I always subscribe back when we get new subscribers. So I'm trying to just boost up some videos and talk about some things. So today I thought it would be pretty interesting because I'm going to talk about the man without fear, the man who gets no love, the blind lawyer from Hell's Kitchen, all right? I'm talking about Matt Murdock himself, the man without fear, Daredevil. I'm going to talk about issues 1 through 8, my opinions about him, some of the artist backgrounds, a lot of great stuff, a lot of not so good stuff, and what you guys might not know. And again, if I make any mistakes, please correct me. I'm not a savant when it comes to this stuff. I've learned all this stuff through reading comic books, reading articles, learning about the artists and the writers themselves. So let's get started. So I'm going to start with issue number 8, all right, which you've probably seen quite often, and it's right here. This is Daredevil number 8. You can notice that he has the red costume. And it's the first appearance of Stiltman, all right? Stiltman, not a primetime player in the villain category, but he's made his appearances. He's made his appearance in Daredevils. He's made his appearance in Spider-Man books. He's a New York kind of based villain, so you always see him kind of raising havoc and stuff like that. There's a couple really cool covers with him on Amazing Spider-Man. But this is Stan Lee and Wally Wood, all right? Wally Wood was the artist in this book. And a little bit about Wally Wood is that Wally Wood had a very tough life, okay? Wally Wood, just to get this out of the way, died at the age of 54 of suicide. If you know anybody, who's passed from suicide, it's very difficult. Wally Wood did have his demons with alcohol and stuff like that. So he had a tough life, and he passed away at the age of 84. But while he was alive, he gave us some great Daredevil books, all right? He gave us a great costume. He gave us great artwork and stuff like that. So again, here's my public service announcement. If you know anybody who's fighting with suicide, fighting depression, call for help. There's always help out there. So, too many young people and too many great people are passing away from suicide. But that's not what I'm here to talk about. So Stiltman. Stiltman has this mechanical suit where he gets large. He was like a bank robber and stuff like that, a thug. And he says in this book, he goes, "If you think you can defeat me, I've almost defeated Spider-Man." And that was pretty funny to compare Daredevil to Spider-Man right there. So that was issue number 8. All right, pick it up. Not a very expensive book. Like I said, I picked this book up raw. Not very expensive to find. A lot of the Daredevil keys really aren't getting any love. I'm hoping with the season 3 that the number 1 will pick up in price. It's slowly been creeping up, but of all the Silver Age number 1s, Daredevil hasn't been catapulting like I expected it to. Transitions from the red and yellow, or the maroon and yellow, to the red suit, which we know and love so well. This book can get a little pricey in higher grades. I have it around the 5.5. I'll talk about my linear comic book collecting if you've ever followed any of my videos. I like to have books in the same grades. I just think it looks nicer. They don't have to be super high grades. Look, I can't afford everything in 9.4, 8.5, 9.2, but I can get some mid-grade books and keep them all together. I just think when you put them all together, they present well. I like to show off my books. I have a couple frames and stuff like that. I change them out. And I just think when the grades either go up, go down, or stay the same. I think the books really look really nice together as far as a collecting standpoint. And let's face it, this is artwork, friends. We buy it, we enjoy it. It is artwork. It should be shown. All right. So another Wally Wood cover, Submariner. I love the title down here. Daredevil battles the Submariner. It's got a little caption up here that says, "This is this epic doesn't need any hard sell. This is one of Marvel's greatest." Just a great book. Wally Wood did a fantastic job on this. This book came out in '65. It does have a Submariner and a Daredevil pinup. I'm lucky that whoever owned this book before me did not take the pinup out. All right. So pretty happy about that. All right. The next book is a book. I just want to say that from issue 8 down, other than issue 2, you have all first appearances. And of those first appearances, a lot of them really don't stick, but a lot of them do. So you know what? You throw some mud on the wall, and if 1 or 2 sticks, then you're okay. And I do consider this Daredevil number 7 the first appearance of his new costume. So I definitely want to say that in my statement. So here we have issue number 6. All right. So now we're going back to the maroon or dark red and yellow costume. This is the first appearance of the Fellowship of Fear and Mr. Fear. And you also have Ox in there. I think Ox was a great villain in the Spider-Man universe and also in Daredevil. What I like about this is that it's another Wally Wood cover. And, it says, for those of you who could never stop or lash out, wait to feast your eyes on this, The Fellowship of Fear. Nice book, not super high grade. Just a book that I like having in my collection because I'm trying to work on Daredevil 1 to 200. I was going to talk about issues 1 through 20, but it's a lot of stuff. And when I do talk about the 1 through 20, I do want to talk about the first appearance of Gladiator. He's one of my favorite characters, especially when Frank Miller took over. So here we have the Fellowship of Fear and Mr. Fear, the first appearance. All right. Again, not super high grade. Bought it raw. Happy to have it. No reason for me to get it, send it out to get slabs. Now we have issue number 5. All right. Here we have the first appearance of the Matador. This book is in a nice Mylar, so it pops a little bit more. Great book. Again, the first appearance of the Matador. Have we ever heard about the Matador after this? No, because it's really not that cool. However, I definitely like this iconic cover. I love the way the Daredevil costume looks. I love the reds and the yellows. And I love the Daredevil logo, the way it pops with that. So really, really cool book. And just a nice Daredevil book to have. Don't know what it goes for in a high grade. If I were to buy this book in a high grade, I'd probably like to have it around an 8.5 or something like that, 9.2. But nothing on my radar right yet. Maybe it'll show up in a Netflix show. All right. Now, we do have one of my favorite books in my collection. Actually, I was very fortunate to win this in a raffle. And this book, I have one raw, and I won this one slab. This is one of my favorite books because this is Daredevil number 4. And this is where actually, I just want to say, this is where Wally Wood took over. And in Daredevil number 4, we have Joe Orlando and Vince Coletta doing the pencils and the inking. This is Daredevil number 4, white pages, unbelievable. At an 8.0, the first appearance of Kilgrave. And I love this book. I love this book. I love the Purple Man. I love Kilgrave. He was fantastic in Jessica Jones, season 1 and 2. Spoiler alert, if you haven't seen season 2 yet. He does make an appearance. I thought they really brought his character to life. This is, again, his first appearance. And just a great book. The colors are really popping on it. Purple Man's in the back. Daredevil's coming off the building. But, this is not Wally Wood. This is Vince Coletta and Joe Orlando. And the cover is done by Joe Orlando and Coletta on the cover. And it is the first origin and first appearance of Purple Man, Zebediah Kilgrave. Just a really, really cool book. And again, Netflix did a great rendition of him. So I thought that was really cool. Now I'm going to show you a very funny book. Not a funny book, but a funny book to my collection. Because let's face it, I'm in my 40s. There was a time where I, wasn't buying comic books at all in the mid-90s, going to college, trying to finish college, chasing girls, doing all that stuff. But around the 2000s, married, starting a family and stuff like that. I started buying books that I thought were really, really cool. And I've gotten fortunate with a lot of those books. But a lot of the books I actually bought at the time were slabs. And at that time, my collection, I didn't have any slabs, right? I like to read my books. I like to ogle over them. I like to feel the paper. I like to feel the texture. I look at the art. When I do have slabs, I make it a point to have a reader copy of that book to make sure I've read the story, because whether or not you're a comic book investor, a comic book collector, just an all-out comic book geek like me, I like to read the books. I like to know the history of them. I think it's great. I do have really bad dyslexia, and when I was a kid, comic books helped me be a better reader. I could see the pictures, I could visualize it, I could see the actions. Although I thought thwomp, thwack, schmeed were real words, but those were all the sounds of people getting the smack laid down. So this is Daredevil number 3. This is the first appearance of the Owl, and I'll show you something that's really funny about it. I actually cracked this book, and I saved the label, which I forgot all about. So I bought this book at a 4.5. I would honestly say 20, maybe 15 years ago, maybe even 18. I cracked it open just to read it because I was a big fan of the Owl. A great storyline for you guys to know is Peter Parker, the Spectacular Spider-Man, like 75, 76, 77. Doc Ock, the Owl, the Black Cat. A very, 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 very intense story arc that came out in the mid to late 80s. It was very violent at the time. And the Owl was a big part of that. So I always remembered that book, so I was looking for it. Here we have, let's see, what is it labeling as? Joe Orlando, Vince Coletta, and it's the origin and first appearance, 1964. And just great looking cover for the time. You can see the apparel of the men, the Owl sitting on his throne, Daredevil in a red, black, yellow, red, and black costume. Just looks really, really cool. Good, there we go. That's a nice no glare. At a 4.5. All right, probably didn't pay much for it, but am I going to have this sent out and regraded? Definitely, probably not. But it's a great read to have, especially if the Owl, who, this is a first appearance, and the Owl kind of did stick around. So of all the villains, the Owl was one of them that really stood the test of time. Okay, now we're going to get into issue number 2. And I do have a few stories about this book. This book was bought raw from me by one of the original owners. He was moving his whole collection, and before I had number 1, I bought number 2. That kind of seems the way it ends up in my collection. I have an FF2, not number 1 yet. I've got a Spider-Man number 2 on hold, not number 1 yet. I bought my X-Men 2 before I bought number 1. And I bought Daredevil number 2 before I bought number 1. And why I really like this book is because it's got Electro. And even Electro makes a comment about how he battled Spider-Man and how Daredevil could defeat him and stuff like that. So this book has no first appearances of it. It does have a Fantastic Four appearance, and it does have Electro. And this book came out in 64, 6 of 64. It just says second appearance of Daredevil and Electro. Okay, that's pretty neat. And it has a Fantastic Four appearance, and just really, really cool Kirby art. Kirby and Coletta art. So Kirby probably did the pencils and Coletta did the ink. Okay, so definitely a neat book, especially with Electro and his powers and stuff like that. So 6.0, I'm happy with it. I bought it raw. No reason for me to upgrade or keep it. It's part of my personal collection. I'll probably never sell it. You know what I mean? I'm not saying my kids won't sell it when I leave this earth, but definitely a book that I'm not looking to move. And then, last but not least, we have my Daredevil number 1. 5.5. Now, when I was shopping for this book, my pennies were kind of tight. Daredevil on Netflix was coming out, so I wanted to invest in this book, and there was a couple issues that I was looking at. I was looking at a 3.5, I was looking at a 4.5, and I was looking at a 5.5. Price difference between a 3.5 and a 5.5 at that time was probably about $450. And while I was shopping for the book, the biggest thing that I noticed was the lower grades. The letter box up here, the Daredevil thing, the Daredevil logo where that green is, was really, really chewed up. And that really turned me off when I was buying the books. The covers were sharp, the edges were good, but when I was looking at it, the 3.5 and the 4.5, they were definitely dinged up here. And, I do love comics as comic book art, and I wanted it to look clean. So this is a 5.5. Do I see anything pressable on this, crackable? Maybe a few things. It does have some chipping. It's off-white to white pages, and it gives first appearance of Matt Murdock, Foggy Nelson, and Karen Page. And they throw Spider-Man on the cover and the FF. They did that to increase, hopefully to increase some sales to the kids out there when the book came out. This is May of 64. April of 64. Also, there was a 2-month hiatus. I didn't realize that. Between books. And just a really, really cool book. Love the costume. Very iconic. I'm hoping this book starts to go up in price, up in value. Daredevil season number 3 comes out on Netflix. I'm all in on that show. I think it's fantastic. Daredevil to me was very iconic. The Daredevil Black Widow run, not a true fan of it, but the Frank Miller stuff, I'm a huge fan of. That stuff was coming off the rack when I was getting it. Daredevil 181 could be one of my favorite books of all time. The Death of Elektra, The Hand, The Gladiator, all that kind of stuff. So I might skip all that and go right to that run. I don't know. But at least I wanted to get this started and talk to you guys about Daredevil issues 1 through 8. So that's all I really have to say. Please comment. Please share. If there's anything that you would like to talk about, or if there's any questions you have for me, or anything that I made a mistake, please let me know. So it is Wednesday. I don't even know it is Wednesday the 15th. Some things that are coming up is tonight we're going to be on Lords of the Long Box at 9 o'clock Eastern Time, 6 p.m. Pacific. 3 Men in a Basement will also be going to Terrificon. I'm from the Northeast. In Connecticut, I'm going to do a live casino takeover with a few buddies of mine, Nemesis Prime. Hopefully my buddy Dennis 4 Comics will be there. My other 2 co-hosts, they're going to try to make their up at different times, but look for us Friday night. Hopefully I'll get this posted within 24 hours. If you're at Terrificon, please give us a shout out. Come look for us. We love to meet people from the Instagram community, and that's really where this all started. So that being said, I am Otto. This is my grotto. We are 3 Men in a Basement, Lords of the Long Box. I am signing out. Peace. Thank you very much for watching.